Welcome to the Screenwriters Workshop. We are going to be looking at the three-act structure today in this video. I'm going to be giving a very quick overview of it, how it works, and the way it can be implemented into your screenplays. Obviously, we'll go into more detail if you're in the community, www.thescreenwritersworkshop.net, where I will go into a lot more detail, and you'll be able to practice some of these principles there, as well as working with other students and other members of the community in order to perfect the utilization of the three-act structure. There are other structures in screenplays, like there is 5-act structure. Some people even use 7 acts. I just find the 3-act to be the most stable, easiest to get your head around, and a tried and tested method that doesn't fail if you adhere to the principles correctly. So the first thing that you do, there's 3 acts. So we know that there's an act 1, act 2, act 3, and it's balance, introduction, the meat of your story, the finale. But the first thing you need to do is to decide how long your screenplay is going to be. Now, typically a screenplay is anywhere from an hour and a half, 90 minutes, to 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 120 minutes. A page of screenplay is the equivalent roughly to about a minute of screen time. So 1 page, 1 minute. So if you write 120 pages, that is roughly going to be 2 hours. So that being said, in order to make this very straightforward and easy to understand, let us say that our script is going to be 100 pages, okay? Let's just say our script is 100 pages. So with a 100-page script, we can now start breaking this down into acts. So there is a percentage that you want to go with. So you've got Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And typically you would have 25%, which would equate to 25 pages for Act 1, 50%, which would equate to 50 pages for Act 2, and 25% for Act 3, which would equate to 25 pages. So guys, that is how you would do it. So once you've done that, now within each act, there are elements within the acts themselves. What you would have is that you have Act 1. I'm going to break down what elements are within the acts themselves. So in the first one, Act 1, you would say maybe the first 5 pages, so page 1 to 5, would be your intro. And this is where you introduce characters, and the world in which they live in. World as normal. So when I say world as normal, it is world as normal for the characters. So whatever the world is for the characters, that is, so for example, the world of the Matrix is not normal for us, but it's normal for those characters. So you see what I'm saying? So it's not so much our normal, it is what is normal for the characters in the story. What is the base point, the foundation? So you establish that really quickly. You want to do that within the first 5 pages. So that's your structure. Then I would say from page 6 to, let's say within page 6 to page 15, you would have your inciting incidents occur within those pages. So the inciting incident is the thing that upends the normal. So we've had the normal. So you see the normal here. In fact, let me do a different color for this, for when I highlight things. Let's see if I can find a good color for this. All right, so the normal we've established is here. This is normal. And the inciting incident here changes the normal. Okay? So that is the way you've got to look at it, is that the inciting incident changes the normal. So when you've changed the normal, that now causes your character to have to make a decision, and that's how you get into page 16 to 25, where a decision is going to get made. Now, the decision is what the character is going to do in order to react to this inciting incident and attempt to get back to the normal, or at least to make sense of the new normal. Okay, so that is what is happening there, but that essentially will drive you into the second act, because now the viewer, the reader of your script, now understands what your protagonist needs to do. Like, this is what they're trying to achieve. The audience do not know how he's going to do it yet. The character doesn't know how he's going to do it yet. He just knows what he's trying to do. So it's like, I'm now trying to fix this. This is the inciting incident. This is what has changed, and I'm trying to fix this. Now, there's so many movies that you can, I'll give you examples of popular movies that you can see this at work. So, for example, I mentioned The Matrix. The Matrix is, the inciting incident for The Matrix is when he, obviously he follows the White Rabbit. He makes contact with Morpheus. And after he makes contact with Morpheus, the inciting incident is that moment when Smith arrests him and shows Neo that the world that he thinks he's in isn't the world that he thinks he's in. So then Neo then has to make a decision, because he wakes up and he thinks it's a nightmare, but then he now has to make a decision when he meets Morpheus whether or not he's going to see how deep the rabbit hole truly goes. And that is what propels us into Act 2 of The Matrix. Now, similarly, in Batman Begins, the inciting incident is the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. He then goes through that process where Joe Chill goes to the courtroom. He doesn't get revenge on Joe Chill. He then tries to get revenge on Falcone. He goes there with a gun. He's not able to get his revenge there. And then he decides to run away and become what he needs to be. He doesn't even know he's going to become Batman at that point. He just knows he's got to go somewhere to become something greater than just a man in the eyes of his opponents, so to speak. So that is actually the way that works. So I just wanted to give you an example of how that would work in real terms for movies that you might know. And you can apply that to any movie that you've seen. So when you go into Act 2, this is really the meat, and this is why it is 50% of your script. The protagonist now has to now overcome obstacles immediately to deal with it. So you've got the beginning, and so we're going to call this obstacles. So just call this the obstacles. And here is where your character would experience difficulties. Okay? Would experience difficulties in dealing with the situation. So again, with The Matrix as an example, this is where Neo has to be found in the real world. They flush him. They then have to rehabilitate him, train him. He gets trained by Morpheus how to do the jump, which he fails. All of those processes are the beginnings of your second act, because it's the process of the character attempting to get themselves into a position where they can solve the issue that you've already highlighted in Act 1, where they make that decision, okay? And then you go down to the next phase, which would be the midpoint. And this is where there's a big change that happens that is designed to really throw off the protagonist. So the midpoints in Matrix, for example, is when Cypher betrays everybody, and he does all of that. That could be seen as the midpoint, where things get crazy, because that propels you to the end of Act 2. And how you would go then is that you would go to the end of Act 2, and this is like, so the end of Act 2 is really, how do I put it? So this is where, a lot of the efforts that they were making to achieve their goal isn't exactly what they think it was, okay? So that is where you get to let's just say it's another plot point. And here, it's a major challenge for them because this is leading you into your final act. So this has to be a major challenge. This is a major challenge. Like, it has to be something really big. So if you're thinking about any movie that you've seen whereby just before Act 3, it is really the final mission, where they're about to plan the final mission, where they're about to go on the final mission. So, I mean, I'll give you an example of this. It's like Batman Begins. No, not Batman Begins, Dark Knight, where Batman and Harvey Dent and so forth, and rather Commissioner Gordon, make their plans to foil the Joker when Harvey Dent has gone down, Rachel Dawes has gone down, everybody's gone down. It's like it's disarray because that's the end of Act 2. And in Act 3, they have to come up with a final last-ditch effort to foil the Joker because they don't know where the Joker is at that point. They do not know how to get to him, so on and so forth. He's got that big plot that he's got going on with the ships and so on and so forth. That is the idea. Like, you're really setting yourself up for the finale. And every single movie you've ever seen has this happen. Otherwise, you do not have any drive for the end of your story. So your second act needs to set up the final stand, the final move, the final mission, the final situation for your story. Because when you get into Act 3, then you're really going into the climax, which is the resolution of all of these things. And when you go into the climax, you're really sort of moving now from the climax to the resolution. Which is a brand new dawn. Now, in the brand new dawn, this is where the character would have made changes. The character, wherever the character began, here, whatever the character was at this point, right here, the character is not the same right here. Whatever that change might be, the character has become a new person. So, for example, with Neo starts off with a doubting computer programmer who didn't believe that the Matrix was really what Morpheus said it was. Didn't have any powers, didn't believe he was the one, didn't believe any of these things, didn't believe he could stop the agents or anything. And to the end, where Neo is flying at the screen, having evaded death, defeated the agents, and he now, not only does he believe the Matrix is real, he believes that he's the one and he's going to liberate humanity. That's a basic 3-act structure. Now, what I just outlined works for every movie, every script. That's the reason why I gave you examples of movies that utilize these systems. You can rewatch this, and as I said, this is just a quick overview. It goes, again, a lot deeper than this, and this works hand in hand with the other elements and modules that I've talked about. So your outline, this works very much hand in hand with the outline, works very much hand in hand with the page 1 that I talk about in another video and module. And all of the different aspects of the screenwriting process are all linked together. The better you get at these things, these things just flow. I don't even think about this stuff anymore. These are things I do for every single script I write. These things just start flowing. And really then the only barrier you have is your own imagination and the kinds of stories you want to tell. But in order to perfect these, it takes a lot of practice. And that is the reason why I created the community, because the community will make it less daunting for you to start from absolute zero and get to the point of professionalism when you're dealing with screenplay writing for film and television. So check out the website, thescreenwritersworkshop.net, and leave your comments on this video, leave your comments, send me messages. I will try and answer questions as and if I can, but thank you for watching.